As the chair of the Public Safety Committee, I'd like to take the opportunity to recognize and thank the courageous firefighters deployed to Georgia, and we're going to hear, I know from the chief in a few moments, to Georgia, North Carolina, and Florida due to Hurricanes Helene and Milton. At FEMA's request, the Montgomery County Fire and Rescue Service authorized a task force to these areas to assist with water rescues, delivery of aid, and conducting searches for victims in accessible areas. This morning, we're presenting a proclamation for Fire Prevention Month, as fire safety is a vital concern to everyone in our county. After a fire strikes, lives are suddenly turned around, and recovering from a fire can be physically and mentally challenging process for a family and for the entire community. MCFRS handles over 120,000. That number was 120,000 emergency calls for service a year, and is staffed by nearly 2,700 certified and trained career and volunteer responders. Firefighters want you to know the importance of smoke alarms, which would be tested monthly, creating an effective escape plan, and learning proper fire response techniques for your home and office. Montgomery County is committed to preventing fires before they occur and supporting families affected by fires, and we extend our gratitude to the firefighters and first responders risking their lives every day to help others. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pass around the mic so that the crowd behind me can introduce themselves, and then I'll ask Councilmembers Luedtke and Councilmember Mink to say a few words, as well as the Earl Stoddard, who's standing in for the county executive, and then Chief Smedley. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Assistant Chief Tim Burns.
Assistant Chief Ben Kaufman.
Bethany Nessel.
Division Chief Gary Cooper.
Jim Resnick, Community Risk Reduction.
Kimberly Kelly, Community Risk Reduction.
Dr. Stephen D. Parker, pronouncing him his, DEI Manager.
Lieutenant Irvin Smith.
Division Chief D. Howard Richards.
Christy Duke with Community Risk Reduction.
Assistant Chief Franz Pentier. Oscar Mendez, Community Risk Reduction.
Kristen Mink, County Council Member for District 5, and I sit on the Public Safety Committee.
Oh, hi, I'm Councilmember Luedtke, and am I supposed to talk now? Is that what you want me to do? Okay. Yes, I am going to listen to you, Mr. Chairman. Can I put this back in the, all right. It's improv at the County Council this morning. I want to thank everyone up here who's representing way more people in this ecosystem of public service for our community. And as to echo what our chair said, great thanks to our members who serve in Task Force 1, who have been going above and beyond the call of duty over the past, I think it was a 17-day deployment, 18-day deployment. So wishing them rest, recovery, and rejuvenation right now as they take a break from what they have been through. It's incredibly important to have professionals like we have in MCFRS who go out into the community and aren't just there for the emergency response calls, but are there to educate. They're there to make sure our community has great understanding of how best to protect themselves. And we recently had that in my own district, where there was an apartment fire at one of our residential complexes in my district. And following that event, the care and compassion that was shown by our MCFRS members in making sure that not just the family immediately affected by that event were taken care of, but making sure they were going door to door after that to raise awareness about how best to protect yourself, because in that moment when it is fresh in the minds of that community, that's the best time that you're going to have in order to make sure that it resonates and that there's action as a result therefrom. And I can affirmatively say my husband recently proved the functionality of our smoke detectors while making dinner. So I know everything's working well at home, but normally we do in fact test them once a month. I try to be a good rule follower, but he ticked off our late September all on his own. So I want to thank all of you for all that you do, every fair that you're at, every community event that you table, every time you bring out the CPR dummies to help explain to small children who come up and want to touch it how it works, what it's for, and what you can do to further educate the community. It's tremendously important, and you are an invaluable resource to our community, so thank you.
Thank you. I am so tremendously proud of our public safety here in Montgomery County. And I think really a testament to that kind of community involvement that Councilmember Luedtke was just mentioning is the work that Fire Rescue has continued to do at one of our favorite star properties in my district, which is a large multifamily building that tends to have a lot of fire rescue calls that are not necessarily for actual fires, but sometimes are for actual fires. And fire rescue is there a lot. It uses a significant amount of their time. But the residents there have come to know them and come to rely on them. They see them there not just when they're responding for calls, but for meetings, for education and prevention work. I have been with them when they have held multilingual educational meetings with the residents there in a culturally competent fashion. I got a call a few days ago from a constituent who had a fire-related question and said, I just wanted to let you know, I already texted Chief Smedley. So, and then not only that, she said, he didn't just text me back, she said he called me back. So just incredibly impressive work on the ground in connection with the community. And I have to give a shout out to our vice president who brought forward a really important tenant notification bill related to fire safety, and also thank the fire department for their work with me bringing an amendment to that allows for the county to require certain minimum requirements around outreach, education, or other public safety interventions if a particular building reaches a threshold of a minimum number of fire-related calls within a year. So that's an incredibly important bill, and an important piece of that bill that I'm really excited to put into action, and I'm just very, very grateful for and proud of the work being done here by Montgomery County Fire Rescue on both the career and the volunteer side. So thank you all so very much.
Good morning, Earl Stoddard here on behalf of the County Executive Mark Elrich to recognize Fire Prevention Month. When you all hear that, you're often thinking fire, and that's when everyone thinks, okay, that's the key word in that statement. I'm going to spend a lot more time talking about the prevention side of that. We appropriately laud our men and women in uniform who put on the equipment, run into the fire. But what we really should do when we want to recognize them is think about what we can do back at home to prevent the fire that they would have to respond to. If you worry about their safety and you worry about the safety of your family, that's what you would be thinking about when you hear Fire Prevention Month. Today, it was in the 40s. Pretty soon, we're going to be lighting up fireplaces, if we haven't already, fire pits, great fall activity. Also a source of a lot of calls for service for our fire department. So when you light those fire pits, make sure they're a good distance away from the house. When you light your fireplaces, obviously make sure you've gotten them clean before the first time they're ready to operate. And when you dispose of the ashes, please don't do so in a bin right next to your house while they're still warm. That is a significant problem. Obviously, space heaters, other things like that. We already heard the cook safely tip. That's a key one. We get a lot of those actually at the building that Councilmember Mink also alluded to. And so as we sit here today thinking about the people who provide us this key service, please do go back to your home. Please do go back to your family. Think about a plan. Think about the things you can do in your individual life to make sure that your house is fire safe. And that will go a long way to keeping them safe, keeping our community safe, and really recognizing Fire Prevention Month. Thank you.
Chief Cooper, we're at 140,000+, correct? So I wanted to Our numbers are even more than the 120,000 that the council member spoke of. We're more into moving toward the 150,000 calls for service. That's a lot. And I've asked the question to someone that has 60 years in this profession, from one of our local volunteer fire departments to someone who was brand new. And I asked the question, have we ever been ahead of having more resources to respond in the history of the fire service? And you could imagine what was stated, no. So your Montgomery County Fire and Rescue has a prevention state of mind. And I challenge each and every one of you to also have a prevention state of mind. I came to Montgomery County because I was informed that we have the will and the resources. And no matter how many resources we have, there's always not enough. There's so many other things that we have to do. So I'm challenging us, not only the community, but the Montgomery County Fire and Rescue, to rethink how we approach things. We need to make sure that our response is where it needs to be, and we'll continue to do that. But we're going to do some creative things to focus our attention, resources, and abilities to prevent us from having to keep that number from rising. So, smoke alarms, this Fire Prevention Month, year, smoke alarms, make them work for you is the theme. So look up, because that's where the smoke alarm should be. Make sure the smoke alarms are on every floor and every sleeping quarters or sleeping room in your home, and plan a safety plan, escape plan. You are the first responders. We're normally not there when the emergency happens. So we're going to reimagine ourselves because we're public health providers, we are economic development protectors, and we are powerful preventers. And so I need you all to understand that, and I challenge you to help us in that, rephrasing and reimagining our identity so that we can prevent the call for service so that you all can continue to be safe. And I thank you all for being here.
Well, thank you very much, Chief. And I do think it should be noted, he is a superhuman person. However, he's not going to call everybody back. I think that should be, I know that's your goal, but I don't know that that's going to work. We're going to read a proclamation. Whereas October is designated as Fire Prevention Month, and this year's national theme for Fire Prevention Month is Smoke Alarms, Make Them Work for You, emphasizing the life-saving importance of smoke alarms and, please, in order here.
Whereas Montgomery County was the first major jurisdiction in the United States to adopt a retrofit smoke alarm law, which required smoke alarms to be installed in all homes. The law was implemented on July 1st, 1978. And today, we also celebrate the 46th anniversary of the 1978 smoke alarm law, which has had a profound impact on reducing the number of fire deaths in the county. And
whereas fire is a serious public safety concern, both locally and nationally, and people are at greatest risk from fire in their homes. Home fires killed more than 2,700 people in the United States in 2022, according to the National Fire Protection Association, an average of more than 7 people perishing in home fires each day. And
whereas public awareness and education are key to fostering a culture of safety, empowering individuals to take proactive steps in their home, encouraging residents to have a planned and practice home fire escape plan, and take personal steps to increase their safety for fire. And
whereas through education, engineering, regulatory enforcement, and emergency response, Montgomery County has significantly reduced fatalities. In 2024, 46 years since the legislation went into effect, smoke alarms remain one of the most critical residential safety devices in the fight against home fire deaths. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Mark Eldridge, County Executive, Andrew Friedson, Council President, Sidney Katz, Council Member of Montgomery County, Maryland, as well as Council Members Kristen Mink and Dawn Luedtke, hereby proclaim Fire Prevention Month and ask all county residents to make review and practice their home fire escape plans with everyone living in the home and check smoke alarms and make sure they are operational. Thank you all for everything you do. Chief, you can hold this one. And, others.